The idea that I was, going to be this news journalist, this news anchor. And the moment that it was revealed to me that that was not my calling and I was called to do something else, I started to ask myself this question, who am I becoming, right? I started to have like a mirror reflection moment with myself, asking, are you happy with the person that you are today? No one's having authentic and vulnerable conversations. And I felt like there was a gap in this community for us to really provide value to people in that way by asking the hard question and then also talking about it, but then keeping each other accountable for what we're saying. And so in that space, we anticipated 60 women or people coming, and we had about 90 people fill the room.
Wow.
And so I don't want to like make this a PR statement. And so that's why I'm like, I just have to get vulnerable for a second. And I just want to think back to even like the younger version of me.
Yeah.
The person that was like, I know I'm called to be great. I know I'm called to do these things, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Behind the Spotlight podcast, where your story matters. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, and I'm on a mission to empower and educate you towards your greatness. On this podcast, we go behind the scenes to shed light on the experiences and perspectives of individuals making waves in their fields. Also, on this show, my goal is to help you learn ways to turn your thoughts into action. You'll also learn from individuals who share personal experiences and actionable steps to create the life you desire. So get ready to get inspired and grow stronger. I encourage you to open up your heart and be ready to receive. Now let's dive into today's episode.
All right, let's get started. Welcome to Behind the Spotlight podcast by Danielle J. Martin. I am your host for today, India Yarborough, and Danielle is actually in our guest seat today. Yes. Danielle, how does it feel to have the roles reversed? You're in the guest seat, you're in the hot seat, you're getting the questions. How does that feel?
It feels really exciting, but also a little weird. As you mentioned, like being in the opposite seat, the hot seat, I guess. I'm starting to feel all the flutters that people are feeling.
All the pressure.
I'm excited because I get to talk with you, and I know you're going to make this easy. So I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, I'll try to make it as easy on you as I can. We're here to talk all about the Rise and Thrive conference coming up this August. Some really exciting stuff. If people, missed your last episode, that was a solo episode back in May. And I know you talked a lot about it. So hopefully we won't overlap too much with that episode. But for those who maybe are just hearing about the Rise and Thrive conference, which it seems impossible, right? Because we're getting all the word out there. You've done the podcast episodes. You've gone on live on Facebook, all the things. But for those who may be just learning about it, just hearing about it, give us a teaser. What exactly is Rise and Thrive and the 2024 Rise and Thrive Conference? What is it all about?
Yeah, so our conference is all about empowering women from all walks of life to elevate in their life or in their business. And we do that by helping them build new connections with new people and also cultivating new mindsets. And so basically our overall goal is to really help people really raise the consciousness of the mindset so they can understand and know how to really go after their goals. We all have visions and dreams that we desire, but we don't know how to get there. We don't really know the action to take. And so really this is an experience. We're calling it like an empowering experience for women, because we want them to know that like, this is not your typical event. This is not going to be a space where you come in and you leave. We are going the whole nine. We're going to have really unique aspects of the event, and I'm super excited to dive into that later in the show. But to give a brief overview of the exact event in the conference, I'm super excited to just say that this is a space for you to meet new people and to cultivate a bold mindset.
It's all about connections, really changing mindsets, growth, and really orienting yourself for the future and your path forward, your journey ahead is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
so definitely. Incredible stuff. It really is incredible. I know you touched on this a little bit in your solo episode last time, but I would love to hear a little bit more about how the Rise and Thrive conference came to be. I know you had this idea originally and that first year of the event. I do ask you a little later on about kind of the progression of the event over the first 3 years. But take me back to that idea, when Rise and Thrive was really just kind of a nugget of an idea in your mind and wasn't any sort of fully formed event or experience yet. How did that idea come to be?
Yeah, so really the Rise and Thrive conference birthed from really Behind the Spotlight podcast, which is so interesting. And so it started with me having a conversation with multiple people around me about an experience that I was going through professionally. And if you don't know, my story started with really my pivotal moment in life, honestly, started when my career changed. And the idea that I was going to be this news journalist, this news anchor, and the moment that I would say that it was revealed to me that that was not my calling and I was called to do something else, I started to ask myself this question, who am I becoming, right? I started to have like a mirror reflection moment with myself asking, are you happy with the person that you are today? And so as I was asking myself that, it was just, if you know anything about me, I'm always asking people questions, right? Not because I'm nosy, but because I just enjoy getting to know people. And and
just so you know, sometimes those questions help us get to know more about ourselves too. So I always appreciate a good question from Danielle.
Yes,
definitely.
It's really unique because it's a moment for us to connect on a whole different level, you know? And so as I was asking myself, who am I becoming? And I was asking people around me, we were having these vulnerable conversations. And I just said, what would it look like if we were to have an event about this conversation? Because, one of the things that we are used to seeing around the community is people are having these networking events and empowering events, but no one's having authentic and vulnerable conversations. And I felt like there was a gap in this community for us to really provide value to people in that way by asking the hard question and then also talking about it, but then keeping each other accountable for what we're saying. And so I always say, if you know anything about me, disclaimer, be aware of telling me your dreams because I promise you, I will keep you accountable.
She's going to be a champion for them.
Yes. Like you tell me something big, I'm like, okay, why not you? Let's do it, And so the first event started with just close family and friends at the Pennant here in Topeka. And it was just really, it was a space for me to say, let's just see if this is something that people are interested in. When I say that the entire room was full, I said, wow, okay, like there's a need here. And so then we launched our second event publicly last year. And then that event was called Rise and Thrive, Overcoming to Becoming. And so in that space, we anticipated 60 women or people coming, and we had about 90 people fill the room.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, okay, so this is something that people are interested in. This is something that people want and people need. So let's do it. And so I would say like Rise and Thrive conference came by just having some, let's say some of my friends asked me, what would it look like if we just make this a little bit bigger? Last year, people were asking for more time. People were asking for it to be longer. And so then that's when Rise and Thrive conference came about.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds like you're really creating the space for these tough conversations, for these vulnerable moments, for these, opportunities for connection. But you're not stopping there. You're really encouraging people to take the next step and further that connection, keep up with that connection outside of the Rise and Thrive space as well. So it's cool that you have those very actionable takeaways as well.
Definitely.
And you mentioned that first event back in 2022. I do want to hear a little bit more about kind of how this event has, or experience rather, it's an experience, not an event. But how has this experience kind of evolved in its first 3 years? We're on year 3 now, and this does feel to me, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but it feels to me like we're really at an inflection point for Rise and Thrive. I mean, it's kind of, I think, hitting its stepping stone to just
sure.
a world of growth and and expansion going forward. So talk to us about the first 3 years of Rise and Thrive and the conference. How has it evolved? How has it progressed? What's maybe new and different this year?
Wow. So I would say from the first year to this year, I think that we have definitely evolved into a growing community. And so the first event was, women from all walks of life and even men. We had women, we had men speakers at the time, and we had men attend last year. And so I will say that in the beginning, yes, it was open to everyone, and it still is. But of course, you can tell like by our marketing that it did evolve towards just focusing on women. And I think that's very intentional on why we do that. And I think it's because it has a lot to do with what's happening around the world, right? And so if you notice that women empowering movements are happening, it's because it's happening for a purpose and for a reason. I think that women have been calling and screaming that like, I want to be seen, I want to be heard. But now I think the conversation is different. It's focused around, how do I get myself to the next level and asking hard questions? But the unique thing about women is that we are capable of many things, but yet we are still in this space of coming across barriers. There's always something that we have to overcome. There's obstacles. And so it kind of feels like sometimes we're fighting for our lives on a daily basis to be seen and to be heard. And while we are feeling like there's a space for us, there's still some women that feel like there's not a space for me. But I also think it starts with knowing who you are and knowing that what you have and what you have to offer to the world is valuable. And it starts with you. And so I think that the Rise and Thrive conference has been solely centered around women for a purpose, because in order to go out in this world and show up like your full authentic self, you have to know who you are. Yes. And you can't do that by performing or putting on a mask. And so if you know anything about our friend group, like we're always going to just rip that mask off and be like, honey, be your authentic self, whatever that is. But the gap that I've realized here, especially in Topeka, is that women don't know who they are. They don't know how to take that next step. And so right now, creating a safe space for women to be seen, to be heard, and to be celebrated was something that I feel like was a calling on me, but not to do it by myself. And so the unique thing about Rise and Thrive Conference is that it is built on collaboration, like the foundation of what we've been creating. And I'm sure you can see, like, you're behind the scenes, so you know everything that's a part of it. But like when people see and they come to this event, they're going to like understand like, wow, there's so many women involved, but not even that. There's like powerhouse women involved, people that you would probably see on the street, people that you would just overlook. They're involved in this event. And it's intentional for each and every person, no matter who you are, what you look like, to be a part of this space, because there's something unique about all of us. And so the Rise and Thrive conference has just evolved into this space of unity and collaboration. And so one of the things that I love about our team that's filled with powerhouse women, so India is on the team, Delmetrius Heron and Jessica Savard. And what I love about our friendship is that we are mirrors to each other.
Absolutely.
And so what I love that we have created and groomed too is that if you say that you're going to do this, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to keep you accountable, but also I'm going to be your partner and I'm going to support you along the way. And that's what I love about our friendship. And I think our goal for the team has just been passing that energy to other women, because not many women have that friendship. Not many women know how to really be friends with strangers or with different people. And so I feel like the unique thing about our team is that we see beauty in everyone. It doesn't matter, like I said, who you are, what you look like, what your title is, like, honey, you belong here. Right. And that's the whole goal.
I think that's beautiful. It really is. And everyone needs friends like that. Everyone needs that core group that's going to hold you accountable, that's going to, push you to be better, that's going to inspire you to be better. And ultimately, I think will make you want that higher calling, that higher purpose. And I mean, I'm so thankful that our paths have crossed in that way. And seriously,
even
it's amazing.
Friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll just say this, like even the friendship that you and I have cultivated, oh my God, like we're about to go on the most impactful experience in conference. And even in that, right? Like you told me something that was really intimate about yourself. And I said, okay, I'll keep you accountable to that.
Yeah.
And there is a conference coming up. And I'm like, you know what, India, like I really want to go. And it was so funny how it happened because really I was like asking everyone around me, which is another space that I'm working on, of doing things by myself. But like,
well, and I remember our conversations, you were like, maybe I do need to do this on my own. Like, is that what the universe is telling me?
Right. And I was like, but also I think it's challenging me to do something I've never done before. Right. And so when you were telling me about your experience in just growing personally, I can hear in your language that you were striving for something different. Like you were looking for a challenge. And I said, well, what would it look like if we go to this conference together? And it's stretching us because it is really not in our budget. Hello.
You're right.
And I was like, it's not in my budget, but I really want to go because that's another thing about this experience is that we want to help women understand that anything you set your mind to, you can achieve. I promise you.
Absolutely.
And so that goes into the overall theme. And I'm sure we're going to get into like why we called it activating your mission. But it really is helping women understand that like anything you set your mind to, like you can activate and you can actually achieve by believing in it. And I think for me, it's like believing that I am worthy and capable to have a successful business. And I am worthy and capable of having a business that is sustainable, that is growing, and that can really be a space to succeed by having, let's say, millions or thousands of dollars. Like that is achievable. And so taking you on this experience was like, okay, this is stretching me. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to do it. And so what I love about our friendship is that we have been keeping each other accountable.
We really have.
In all different ways.
Yes. And just to clarify, we are talking about 2 conferences here because Danielle and I, we're going to attend a conference together in Arizona earlier in August. And then you have the Rise and Thrive conference coming up later in August. And I'm so excited for both. I really am. And I'm so thankful that you pushed me to go to that earlier conference in August too, because I mean, these ideas of belonging and worthiness. I mean, as I've kind of been thinking about and I know we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but
it's fine.
But as I've been thinking about my own, growth and my own life journey and career journey and all that good stuff. I mean, I've had some real question marks in my head lately and struggles with, am I worthy? Is this for me? Do I belong here? Why me? And so to have a friend like you that will truly, because I know you deal with some of that stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And so to be in these similar spaces where we're having the hard conversations about what we're going through, and to then kind of turn around and allow space for other women to have those conversations too, is just an incredible thing. I mean, I truly cannot stress that enough, just how powerful that is.
I know.
It really is. And I'm so thankful to be going to that event with you. And it's just gonna, I think, get us inspired and geared up for ready. For Rise and Thrive.
Literally, we're going like the week before the event. It sounds crazy, but it's like, it's really not. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like we are so willing and worthy
because we want to invest in ourselves. And I think that's the key, right?
Yes.
And even when it comes to getting women to attend the Rise and Thrive conference later in August,
oh my God.
I mean, it is an investment in ourselves. And I think I hope that women really recognize that and seize the opportunity to invest, because that's huge. It really is.
Yeah. And that's even like the idea of this whole experience is that it is to stretch you. And so if you were to ask me, like, what is the overall goal? It's like, I want you to come here and be stretched and be willing to go after the thing that you want to do, whatever that is.
Definitely. Yep. If you're not uncomfortable, you're probably not growing, right?
Hello.
Well, when it comes to kind of the components of this year's Rise and Thrive experience, I know you've got some new stuff in the works this year. It's 2 days instead of 1.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that new structure, the VIP event versus the main event. Any fun new things this year? I understand there's a charitable component that people can really get get excited about.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more about the kind of nitty-gritty details.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with the agenda. So when you're talking about stretching yourself, it starts with doing the things that you may not think that you're capable of doing, but then just like figuring it out. And so listening to the attendees last year, they talked about wanting more time. They talked about wanting it to be longer. And so I realized over time, and even just the brief conversations and interactions that I was having with people, we were reaching two different audiences. There were women business owners, entrepreneurs who were wanting more. And then there was also aspiring leaders and professional leaders that were wanting to know how to elevate in a whole different way. And so I said, okay, how can we meet the needs of all of these different types of women? And so we had a committee come together and said, you know what, let's just do a 2-day event and let's just make it happen. And I even said to you guys, I'm like, I don't know what the heck we're doing, but we're going to figure it out. Right. And that's the beauty of like stretching yourself, but doing it in collaboration with the people that you trust. And so what I love about the team that we have is that all of you guys are just, oh my God, I am so blessed to be surrounded by you guys because you guys keep me sane, calm, and collected, but you also push me outside of my comfort zone. And so going back,
a lot of credit goes to Dell and Jessica too.
Oh my
gosh, they're incredible women. And so thankful, so lucky to be working alongside them.
So many different ways. Like each of you honestly brings so much value to the table, but I think that's the beauty of it. So the 2-day event looks like the first day on Friday, August 16th. It's all about building your business empire. And so, as I mentioned before, we want to reach women business owners and entrepreneurs because we want to help them sustain and scale their business. So we're going to be talking about all things business, how to figure out how to scale your team, how to scale your business to a different level of sales, right? Believing that you can reach $1 million in sales and knowing that that is like, it's achievable. And then also understanding too, like how to start a business is what we're going to be also talking about. And then how to, start a business coming from corporate America. So we're going to be talking about all these different avenues, but the most important avenue we are going to be talking about is getting comfortable with money. Okay.
That's huge.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yes.
And as someone with, financial trauma in my own past, like that's big for a lot of women.
Even these ticket sales, like you already know, I was like freaking out about these ticket sales because I'm like, oh my God, this is too expensive. And then I had other people saying, no, Danielle, it's really not enough. And so that's a whole conversation for a different day. But what I love and what I'm really excited about is we're going to have a whole panel discussion about having a relationship with yourself and money, and then also how to have a relationship with the bank. And so one of the things that I found recently is that there are 60% of women who are interested in starting a business. There's 48% of women who do not have competent mentors in entrepreneurship. So there's a huge gap, right? And so I said, well, I want to be intentional on the speakers that we are picking. And so I'm really excited to have these women who have 3 to 5 years of experience in business share their wisdom with us and get really vulnerable and straightforward about the business work.
Absolutely.
And so as I'm becoming a business owner myself, again, I don't have all the answers, honey, I just started. But what I'm realizing is there's so many gaps with women business owners. And at first I thought it was just all talk, right? I'm like, this is just what people talk about. But being in the weeds of everything, I'm like, wow, we really do lack support of funding. We really lack support of mentors. And I think it's because it goes back to we are afraid to tell the world our business idea or tell our friends because we're afraid that it's going to be taken. Honey, if you believe what is for you, nobody can take anything from you.
Ooh,
and so
good.
I just think that like, being the focus or having the focus be on women business owners and entrepreneurs was a necessity for the event itself. And so the VIP event is just going to be a networking hour, couple of hours, I will say, not just an hour, but just an opportunity.
An afternoon,
where women can come together and listen from women who are doing the work every single day, that they're in the day-to-day, and they can share their experience and wisdom with us. And then the second day is going to be focused on activating your mission. And so this is
I'm really excited for that.
I'm really excited about this one too, because this is all about helping women develop their own personal mission statement. It is very familiar for all of us to create a mission statement for organizations, for businesses. But when was the last time that you created a personal mission statement for yourself.
I bet for a lot of women, it's going to be never, right?
Like it's something that we don't really do. We sit down, we write our goals, and that will be part of it. But the goal will be to help you develop a personal mission statement and then also really help you know how to activate and take action. And so activating your mission means to be more active, but the goal is not to get you to do all these various things. The goal is to help you do at least one thing within the weekend, right? And so I really don't want people leaving here trying to like get all this information and then not know what to do with it, because that's something that we typically do. We go to all of these events and we leave and we're like, oh my God, that was so great. And then now what?
And then it's nothing. Nothing happens.
And so now we are going to take some time and really give you a framework on how to actually take action. And so I'm really, really excited about that.
I love that. And I think that's really important when you think about just, what is my next best step? What is my next action that I need to take? Too often you're right. Like the buck does stop at the end of that event. And so it's so powerful, I think, to be able to really provide some takeaways. This is how you should show up in the real world with your mission on your mind. And so I love that. Yeah.
I'm really excited to share something really special happening at the 2024 Rise and Thrive Conference. We're adding a charitable component to the empowering experience this year called the Empower the Period Donation Drive. It's an opportunity for all of us to help young ladies with their menstrual cycle by providing them with these essential items that they need. This component of the conference is a collaborative effort with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Topeka to support their teen center. Now, as we come together to celebrate and support women at the conference, we also want to shine a light on an important issue: period poverty. It's a challenge that many women face around the world and right here in our own community. So by joining us in this drive, you can make a real difference with us. For more information and ways to donate, you can simply donate online or bring your products to the event on August 16th and 17th. For more information on how to help this cause, head over to our website at daniellejmartin.com/empower the period. That's daniellejmartin.com/empower the period. Now let's empower women together.
One thing we have not really touched on yet is that charitable component.
Yes.
That's going to be a part of this event. It's new this year. I'm really excited about it.
Oh my God,
and it's really about, I think, combating period poverty. Is that right?
Yes.
And supporting girls and teens in our community at the same time. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So you know how earlier we were talking about the idea of stretching yourself, right? So Jessica Savard, she's this year's event coordinator, and she was last year. But the beauty about her being the event coordinator this year is that she's been a part of the process since the beginning. And so God bless her soul. Shout out to Jessica, because when I tell you, this woman is so patient and just has a gift for event coordination, because I will send her so many different texts like, hey, let's add this or let's take this away. And I'm like, she's going to kill me. But every single thing that I have asked her to help me with, she's been phenomenal. But it's interesting when we're talking about reverse roles, she actually sent me this idea about, hey, if we are supposed to be reaching women from all walks of life, right? How are we reaching the teens? How are we reaching the younger women?
And I know that's something you've talked about before, is involving younger women. I mean, even with the performers and dancers last year, I mean, that's part of why we did that.
Definitely.
So yeah, I want to hear more. Don't mean to interrupt, but this is awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
And yes, that brings a really good point. And so I was challenged in that way, saying like, yeah, how are we shedding light on them? Because as you mentioned, we are going to be having performers this year, which I'm really excited about. And, we're shedding light on the young teens in that way, but still, how can we be a little bit more impactful, right? Because as we are getting empowered, how are we empowering the young ladies? And so she brought up this idea of adding a charitable component to the conference. And immediately I was like, how are we going to do this? Right. But then my second thought followed up was, why not us? right?
Right.
Why not us?
The how will come. I feel like once you decide I want to do this, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've been adding that mindset in all areas of my life. It's just like, why not you? And so when she brought up the idea of adding this, I said, you know what? Like, we should probably figure out how we could do this, because this is going to be something that I don't see just honestly stopping for this first time event. I see this really adding on for multiple years to come.
Okay.
And so our Empower the Period donation drive is happening along with the conference. And really it's just a space, as you mentioned, to empower young teens to have the essential needs that they need for the menstrual cycle. India, when I tell you that period poverty has been going on for years, right? So this is like nothing new.
And across the globe too.
Yes, across the globe, which is like right now, currently 16.9 million young ladies are still struggling, which I still find alarming. And so I think that as we are being intentional, it's also intentional for us to just, educate yourself on the things that you're doing. And so I felt like I had to educate myself on, the period poverty movement and understand, like, why is this happening? What's going on? And so I think the beauty about the Topeka community is that we've already had multiple organizations help in this need in this way. We've had MB Pyland and advertising help out with this, Junior League of Topeka help out with this. And so I think we're just another additional component to that need, which I think is a beautiful thing. But this year we're doing it in collaboration with the Boys and Girls Club of Topeka.
So excited about that.
I'm really excited because they have a teen center.
Right.
And so what was even more beautiful about this collaboration is the first day that we reach out to them, she responds to us within 10 seconds, literally. And I'm like, paying attention to that, receptive energy. If that things are easy for us to do, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And so even Jessica was like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad we reached out. Like, why didn't we think about them the first time? But like, everything happens for a reason. And so basically what this looks like is that we're asking attendees and even people all over Topeka and all over the world to contribute hygiene feminine products. So women, young ladies can have the essential needs that they need for their menstrual cycle. And even just saying that till this day bothers me, to be honest. It's just like, why is this still a need?
Right.
With all of the resources that we have all over the world, it just blows my mind that this is still happening.
That we're just letting this fall through the gap. Or the cracks.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, well, if we could be the light in the darkness, like, again, why not us?
Definitely.
And so we're just asking people they can contribute online. We've made it super easy. You can contribute online, or you can bring your products to the event itself, and we will have a bucket for you to collect those items. Another component that we are adding is that, why not give to the Boys and Girls Club of Topeka itself? And so there is a link for people to contribute and to donate to the organization itself.
And created a wish list, as I understand it.
Yeah, it's a wish list. And so there's a link where you can go and see what they need. And honestly, we're just asking you to give whatever your heart desires. Anything is great, $5 or $10. But just know that this teen center is it's a very prominent one in Topeka. It's one that I volunteered the first time that I moved here in Topeka. And when I've interacted with these young ladies, I see the light in them. And so I feel like in order to continue to help them grow into the young lady that they're called to be, we just have to be that additional support with them.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, and going back to period poverty and that issue, I mean, in doing some reporting on, MB Pyland's version of this drive and that kind of thing, I learned even that how big of an impact, not having access to those period products can have on a young girl's life, from missed classes to missing opportunities to build soft skills. I mean, the tangible impacts of just providing period products is incredible. I mean, it's the impact you can make by doing that really knows no bounds. And I think that's it's just like you said, it's sad and unfortunate that this need persists in this way. But I think it is incredible that we're doing something about it. So kudos to Jessica and to you for seeing this need, and to the Boys and Girls Club for being willing to partner. So that is incredible. We've talked about a lot of different women and girls over the course of this conversation.
Right.
And I did want to ask you to kind of hone in on who this event is for, because, we've talked about that kind of cycle of empowering women, right? And once you're to a point of empowerment, kind of stepping back to reflect on who else is in the room that you might be able to reach and who else you might be able to pull into the circle and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So talk to us about who Rise and Thrive is meant for and who you hope to reach.
I can sit here and I've actually thought about this question, and I can sit here and I can say, it's for women business owners, it's for entrepreneurs and aspiring leaders. But I really want to rephrase how I answer this and say that this event is for you. This event is for the person who is currently listening to this, watching this. This event is for the person who is filled with so much life and thoughts and ideas, but doesn't know how to move on the thoughts and ideas. This event and experience is for the person who is full of so much wisdom, but is not speaking up, the one that's quiet in the background. This event is for the women who have been serving in the community, but also the women that we tend to overlook as well in the community. And so I just want to say that this event is really for women from all walks of life. And it sounds broad, but it's so meaningful in so many different ways, because I just want women to know that you are called for a purpose. And if you do not know how to operate in that purpose, you could be living aimlessly. And I think that's why the goal for this entire experience, and it has been from the beginning, is to raise the level of consciousness. And what that means is really helping women understand who they are, why they are here, and how to go activate the mission that you were called to. And so if you're in a space and you're like, I know I was called to do something. I know I'm called to be the light in the darkness. I know I'm called to help an organization or start a business, but I don't know how to get there. This event is for you. And so I don't want to make this a PR statement. And so that's why I'm I just have to get vulnerable for a second. And I just want to think back to even the younger version of me. Yeah. The person that was I know I'm called to be great. I know I'm called to do these things, but I don't know how to do it. Yeah. And so, but also for the women that is, like I said, full with so much wisdom, but unsure how to take their business or their life to the next level. And so if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur and you're I want to connect with other like-minded women, come on into this room. If you are an aspiring leader and you work in a corporate America job, this event is for you, because if you are trying to connect with high professional women, honey, get in the room. Yeah. And so I would just say don't sit on the sideline anymore. Get in the game, get in the room. And in order to do that, you have to do something you've never done by taking that first step.
Yeah. Well, and I hear you say it a lot that, you don't have to start perfectly. You don't have to start knowing everything, but you have to start somewhere, right? And for a lot of women, I hope that this experience is kind of their start, because it truly does have the potential to just change so many mindsets, to really steer a lot of women towards these paths of growth, maybe paths they've been avoiding, right? We have a tendency to avoid what we really need sometimes, I think. And and so I'm so inspired, I think, by the potential for who we may see in that room with us. And it's going to be incredible. It really is. I'm thinking back to last year and just there really was this kind of feeling just permeating the room, this feeling of oh my gosh, we are all connected. We are all together. We are all in this, And so I'm sure it's going to be no different this year. You've talked a lot about, those kind of actionable items you hope to leave women with, so that they're really not stopping with Rise and Thrive. They're going forward and making a difference beyond that experience, beyond that weekend. Do you have any other thoughts on takeaways? What you really hope to leave women with, what you hope they walk out of that room feeling or knowing about themselves?
Yeah. I really want women to walk away knowing that they are chosen. They are chosen for a time as this.
That's good.
And so I literally have it on my phone every single day to remind myself that you were called to be intentional. You were called to serve a purpose, regardless if it's big or small. Many of us want to serve on a big stage, but sometimes we are called to small places. And so I think that if you recognize that who you are as an individual, as a person, is beautiful enough to serve in any area that you are called to. And so when you recognize that you were chosen in all the gifts and all the things that God has given you, you will be able to walk in any room that you are called to with the purpose, with the mindset that is like, I'm called to be in this room, so I'm going to be the light here, regardless of whatever that looks like, right? Whether it's being the light in the background or being the light in the foreground and front, right? But it's like, be careful what you ask for in being in that spotlight. If I were to think about what I want women to take away, it's to know that they are chosen and they are capable to achieve any thought that they have in their brain. And so that's why I go back to the idea of raising your consciousness to know how do you take that thought that you have in your head and actually take action and move forward, right? Because we allow imposter syndrome to fulfill us and we don't know how to navigate it. And we don't realize that imposter syndrome is paralyzing everything that we are trying to achieve. And if you recognize that, honestly, and I'm starting to believe this is so weird. First time of me saying this, but I'm starting to understand that I think imposter syndrome is something that we just make up because if it has everything to do with
It's so funny you say that because I saw, I'm forgetting the actress's name, but I saw this clip on Instagram recently and it was a commencement speech and it was this woman. She's a famous woman. Her name's escaping me at the moment, but she was talking about exactly that, about the idea of imposter syndrome being this kind of manufactured phenomenon meant to kind of keep women down in a certain way, to kind of keep women in their place and keep them silent about issues that matter. It's
another label that we just wear in our chest, kind of like that red A that we just slap on our chest to say that like, this is the excuse or this is the reason why I can do this because I have this imposter syndrome. It's just like an excuse that we like label on us. And when I like have been recently thinking about the labels that I have put on myself or maybe allowed other people to put on me, I realized that like these are just labels that, again, I'm choosing to believe. But the moment that I take that label off, the moment that I realize that I have an opportunity to not believe in those things, I can choose to believe in something else, right? Then these labels no longer exist. This is just something, again, it's a phenomenon. It's something that like we allowed to enter our environment and our space. But the moment that you realize that these labels are something that you do not have to choose to believe, honey, you're going to start seeing yourself in a whole different light.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so recently I've realized that the labels that were put on me as a young lady, as a child, when I look at who I am now, those labels don't exist at all. And so I think that we allow our family members, our friends, our current circumstances to put labels on us. But if you recognize, honey, that the power that you are searching for is within you and who you are called to be is everything that God says that you are and whatever that looks like for you, right? The universe, God, whatever that looks like, that is who you're called to be.
Wow. I'm just dripping on, like I'm holding on to every word that you are saying right now because there's so much wisdom dripping from each phrase. And seriously, I mean, everything you just said, I'm sure is going to resonate with so many women. And kind of what I'm hearing you say in so many words is that, and kind of tying back to the name of this conference is, we're really encouraging women to rise above so that they can thrive without those labels, without those constraints, without those, things that have been holding them back in the past. So, oh my gosh, I'm
well said.
I can't even remember my questions. I'm just so into this conversation.
Well said.
I do want to make sure we give a shout out to some of these sponsors that are supporting this year's event. I know that seems like a big pivot to be in the weeds of kind of what we hope women to take away. way to who our sponsors are.
Right.
But, these are Champion for Women sponsors. These are, local companies and businesses that have really stepped up and said, actually, I do see the value in this event. And I want to be one of the names on this event. One of the names supporting and putting my money where my mouth is to make sure women succeed. So tell us who those companies are that are really putting their money where their mouth is and supporting Rise and Thrive 2024.
Definitely. So the unique thing about this experience is that when I mentioned earlier, the foundation is collaboration. You're going to actually hear from each sponsor speak on why they decided to sponsor this event. So we're incorporating the sponsors to be involved. So we have US Bank, we have Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas, we have Azure Bank, we have Franza and Francis. And so these unique sponsors are going to be not only sponsoring this event, but you're going to be hearing from them at the event. And so that's a little teaser for you.
That's exciting.
But one of the unique things, like I mentioned, is that we are incorporating all different types of people to be involved, because you're right. I told them that I don't just want your money. I want to know why you are giving and how you can be involved. And so if you know anything about me, I'm very intentional in all the decisions that I make. And so I'm like, if this doesn't make sense, then this doesn't need to be a part of it. And so I'm
You're not
really
trying to force
excited.
anything.
Right. Not trying to force anything. And honestly, like, not all money is good money. And so we were very intentional on the people that we did reach out to. And so all of that, like, again, all of that is very intentional and psychological, because I just believe that we are just here to do the assignment that we were called to. And so when things happen the way that they do and they unfold, we are blessed that they happen that way. And so I'm super excited to have them involved and speak at the event.
That's incredible. And I'm very thankful that, their support does go beyond just those monetary funds. So
For sure.
that's incredible. Where can women purchase tickets and register for this event? Do you have a website address you want to throw out there?
Yep. So DanielleJMartin.com. It's just my name. And you can go click at the top of the page, conference, and then you will have all of the information there.
Okay. That's awesome. And remind us of that date, time, location really quick.
So August 16th and 17th, they're going to be taking place in 2 different locations. So on Friday, August 16th, it's going to be taking place at the K. McFarland's Japanese Garden at the Topeka Zoo. So if you're familiar in the local area, it's just at the Topeka Zoo. And then August 17th is going to be at the Brownstone Topeka. And then those times are on our event page. So you can definitely go check it out. I will put out the disclaimer that last year, we've had people say that, oh my gosh, we wanted more time. And so I will say just the event starts at the time that it starts and it ends at the time that it ends. So it may say like 2 to 6 or 4 to 6. And it's just like, I'm telling you right now.
And we'll try.
Just come. Yeah,
we'll try to keep it in those hours.
Come and we're just going to let everything flow.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, and I think it's cool too that we're working with women behind the scenes, even beyond the immediate core planning group, right? I mean, the events coordinator at the zoo is a woman, the owner of the Brownstone's a woman, or some of our vendors are women. So we're really trying to incorporate that along the way. So,
and let's even mention too, like the vendors, I think at this time we definitely announced all of them. And so we've gotten multiple requests on the vendors and how to become a vendor. But even in that, India, that was all intentional. So a lot of people were asking, is there still vendor spots available? And unfortunately, there's not. So we were intentional on selecting 5 vendors, and all of them are different and unique. And so one of the things and features that people will have at this event is you'll have an opportunity to get a free headshot, and get free henna. And there's going to be jewelry there and clothes and all of these unique things to help women become who they are. And so I'm really excited about the headshots because I'm all about branding and how you represent yourself, honey. And so one of the things that we lack is a headshot. And so at this event, you'll have an opportunity to take away your own headshot. How
are you going to activate that mission without a headshot?
Right, exactly. So definitely come prepared. And also we can talk about what to wear, because I think a lot of people were like asking me, what do I wear? What is this event? Honey, this is the time for you to be extra.
Dress to impress.
Dress to impress for yourself.
You heard it here first.
Yes, for yourself, but come wearing all of the neon, pink, orange, whatever colors that you desire. But honey, come dressed to impress for yourself. Show up for yourself.
When we look good, we feel good.
Yes.
We want to be more present and really take up space. And so I love that. I love that. Yes.
So be extra because honey, I know I will.
And you always kill it with the fits. So I know we have a lot to look forward to there. And I'm so excited to see what everyone wears. I'm so excited to see what everyone says as well. Cause equally important is the content. So so excited for both of these things.
And I just want to say thank you for all the things that you have done. India has been one of those powerful leaders leading from behind.
Thank you.
So she has, like I said, kept me sustained, maintained, and calm. And so I'm really excited for this media tour that we're about to go and launch because honey, it is so weird being in the hot seat. Like it is so weird. I'm like, I'd rather just be on that side where I'm interviewing you, I'm talking to you. But
I thought of this recently, and this is a total tangent, but in thinking about why I started out in journalism and that kind of thing, sometimes it's easier to ask the questions than it is to answer them.
It is.
And it's comforting to be able to have that power, right? Where you're like, I'm just asking the questions today.
Yeah. And like, you're thinking about like, I got to say it right. And it's just like, girl, like just talk.
Right. You'll get there.
Like you're fine.
Yeah.
But you've made it easy. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I could say, literally everything you just said, I could say the same for you too. So thank you for pulling us together. Well, is there anything, as we kind of wrap up this conversation, is there anything I'm missing, anything I haven't asked you about that you really wanted to touch on? Any final thoughts you really want to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, I would just say, like, when you guys come to this experience, just come with an open heart, right? Come ready to be stretched and come ready to get out of your comfort zone and just be open, because all of the women that we have involved in this conference, honey, they have an open heart and a beautiful spirit. And so it's an honor to work along women like yourself and other women that's going to be behind the scenes and volunteers. And so our goal is to, like I said, help you build new connections and cultivate that bold mindset and help you take action. And so I'm really excited to meet all the new women that are going to be coming and being a part of this experience. But this is not going to be the last time that we leave one another. So the beauty about the conference is as soon as you get a ticket, you get access to our Thrive Hive community. Yes. So definitely purchase that ticket and go ahead and get access to our Facebook group. And so I'm really excited about that to, like I said, not leave the connections on the table, right? And so this is going to be a space for us to connect, but continue that relationship along the way. And so just come with an open heart.
That's incredible. Well, check out DanielleJMartin.com. And the conference tab is where you're going to find all the info. August 16th through 17th, 2024 here in Topeka, Kansas. We will see you there.
We'll see ya.
All right. I think we're out. Yay.
So I'll just like re-answer the question. Okay.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Once we get off, I feel like it's hard to get back on track.
I feel like we're all over the place. Okay.
All right. Welcome to Behind the Spotlight podcast. Sorry, let me start that again.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Let me gather myself.
Yes. Just as we've talked, but I do want to.
I'm not getting like. I feel like my practice was a lot better than. This is like a lot.
Do you need to do anything to like
make sure I'm not missing?
It's not always going to be perfect, right? All right. 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
3, 2, 1, and we're back. Well, there you have it. That is this week's episode on Behind the Spotlight podcast. Hey, do me a favor. If you found value in this episode, I love to hear your thoughts on your key takeaways. So please take a moment, to share your feedback by simply leaving a review for this episode. This show can grow to bigger heights with the support of you. It takes 2 seconds to write a quick review on Apple or Spotify. Or better yet, how about you just snap a screenshot and share on your social media? Just don't forget to tag me so I can personally connect with you. Your insights might just be what someone else needs. So let's make an impact together.